Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion, and it is early on Sunday, about 12:45 as I record this AM, and this is a video that is going to contain some content that I wanted to record on Saturday afternoon before I went to my Saturday job. My internet was down, so I was not able to record it. But I'm recording it now. And I am recording it in place of a written post for Sunday because something with a deadline, very important, caught my attention and I needed to do that instead. So I'll explain all of this after this. And the this, of course, is our opening that we say each time. Say it with me if you know it. Let us remember we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of God, the more, and each other. So, before I get to what I wanted to share with you as far as a reflection and a prayer goes, I want to tell you a bit about what I was doing instead of taking the time to write. I was writing to the Ohio legislature. Now, here is what is going on. You may have heard, if you live in Ohio, if you don't, you may have also heard that Ohio is in the midst of redrawing its maps, its congressional maps. And it's kind of a long story. We are in a different place than what Texas did, what Missouri did, what Indiana is talking about doing. We are doing this for a different reason, but also one having to do with highly gerrymandered maps that were against the will of the people in an election just a few years ago. And this is the upshot. In Ohio, these are some statistics here. In the last decade, 54% of voted Republican, 54% of the time, or 54% of the votes were Republican, 46% were Democrat. So we are a mostly red state, but really kind of borderline purple because it is, again, kind of a state that used to be a swing state, not so much anymore, but we are fairly evenly divided. But in our representation in the current gerrymandered map, there are 10 safe Republican seats, 2 safe Democratic seats, and only 3 toss-up seats. And a lot of this has to do with the racially based gerrymandering that we are seeing elsewhere, many places around the country. So, what I was writing about is a hearing that is coming up on Monday that is seeking to vote on maps that are more fairly drawn. And the two bills, Senate Bill 259 and House Bill 442, want to draw maps that would basically be 8 Republican, 7 Democratic. So again, this very close alignment, much more fair, much more reflective of the decade plus long will of the Ohio people. So the deadline for this letter, a testimonial letter, was tomorrow morning. Well, today, because it's not Sunday now. But I needed to do that. I wanted to do that because, y'all, any chance that we get as citizens to be involved in the civic process, I believe that we should take it. So I did that. And here I am instead recording a video to you. So before I share the spiritual side of this recording, I want to just touch on 2 bonkers breaking news that came about today, fairly late actually, on Saturday. I'm going to put links to each of these in the notes because I think especially this first one, we're going to be hearing a lot more about because it is part of an ongoing narrative that we are seeing time and again and again and again in the Trump regime, and that is gross corruption, and in this case, flat out bribery. So you can read the story. I hope you hear more about it. It has to do with Tom Homan, who is the really, in my opinion, vile director of the border czar, which is a made up position. And you can hear some of his stuff that he says. It's pretty brutal and very, very belligerent. So the story goes, and again, I'm going to keep this super short because I think it's something we can wrap our minds around. It's not complicated. Back about this time last year, so when the election was really heating up, Homan was in a position in a consulting firm where he was meeting people who were related to the border. And he also was a close Trump campaigner and supporter and so forth. And what he was doing was he was telling people that he could get them jobs, get them influence in the Trump administration if they won. Well, the FBI got wind of this. They set up a scam operation, and they caught him on camera receiving $50,000 in cash, not even like a transfer to the Caymans or however, money transfers happen in bribery, cash, $50,000 in cash. And the promise was, this is the bribe, was that they would get jobs if he was made, if he got a high position in the Trump presidency, second term, that they would get jobs. So they captured this on film. Now, here's the thing. They didn't move on this because they needed to see if Trump won, if he would follow through. The money that they gave him, that they bribed him to do, would he follow through on that? Well, guess what, folks? Once Trump took power, the FBI killed this. The FBI buried this. The FBI is covering this up, that they are housing at a very high level in the Department of Homeland Security someone who is caught on tape taking bribes. Whew. So the other piece, and again, it's the same story, is T-Rump sent Pam Bondi, Department of Justice, a really bonkers open Truth Social bleat or post or whatever it is, talking about that she is not going after his political enemies hard enough, that he's losing faith in her because she is not going after the people that he wants her to investigate. And the names he mentions have all been investigated, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. And the president doesn't get to do that. It's not his DOJ. It is our Department of Justice. It is our Department of Justice as citizens of this country. So I bring these to you, y'all, because these are going to be, I think, big stories and just a part of an ongoing narrative of the corruption that we are seeing in a way we have never seen, certainly in our lifetimes. All right, y'all, I want to close with the spiritual piece, and it's just going to be one little reading, but I think an important one, and this comes from something I've read numerous times before. It's the Meister Eckhart book of reflections of his words. And here it is. Everything hangs on the little word here and its sibling now. But I often forget this, keeping busy with my plans, building for a future I cannot know, and against worries I cannot finally tame. And yet you, O God, wait for me to come home to your now, which is beyond past and future, and return to your here, which is present before beginning and beyond every ending. I like that. The little word here and its sibling now, right? Yeah, y'all, in the Bible, in the Hebrew scripture, the Hebrew Bible, where God introduces God's own self to Moses, God says, I am, and I am is present tense. So where do we experience God? Where is the only place that we can experience and know God? It is in the here and in the now. So I hope on this Sabbath, in the here and the now of this moment, this time, as you listen to this, as you watch this, that you may know God's presence. and that we all may continue to grow in strength and confidence and love and courage as we confront this crisis of our country, this crisis of decency, this crisis of fairness, and this crisis of hatred and chaos. May we continue to be strong, be bold, and be loving. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Blessing and good. Be bold. Be well.